Hey there, it's Marlon from marlonmcpherson.com, and one of the things I wanted to do was to have someone, when they sign up on one of my platforms, to be added on my membership website in WordPress to get them set up with their user account and also to send them their login details, etc. And your use case might be different, but what I've done is I've built out an automation using OttoKit, which is one of the tools that I find that's easiest and straightforward to do it because of its deep integration with WordPress and the fact that it connects with pretty much most of the common tools out there. So I'm going to show you the workflow, and you can replicate it by following what I've done here. If you're trying to build something similar, obviously by using your own particular apps or anything like that, but the core parts of it that I'm going to show you will apply regardless. If you want to do this quicker, you can download the workflow. I'm going to make it available for free for a limited time inside my online community, which you can access on the link in the description. Once you get in, you'll just go to the docs/resource section inside the community, and you'll find a link inside a post where you can access the resources there. So go ahead and check that out along with all the other resources I have down below. Now here I'm going to give you an overview of what's going on with my setup here. As I said, I want people to be added to my membership website. So I have my online community platform, which is run which is Heartbeat, essentially, just like you have Circle and you have school communities. This is on Heartbeat. And sometimes what I do is I have people sign up on the Heartbeat landing page or their platform directly, but that's not necessarily directly integrated into the membership website, which is built on WordPress. So I'm using Heartbeat in my case here as the trigger. So that's starting off this automation in OttoKit. Obviously, I'm not showing you how to connect all of these applications and so on. You should be able to set up your own website with OttoKit. Their instructions are straightforward, and you can add any other apps just the same way as you would do with any other automation platform. There are videos out there and instructions available from them. So now I've got my connections obviously set up. I'm just showing you the automation. So essentially someone signs up here, and the next step is for them to be added to my WordPress website. But before I add them, I need to check if they have an account already, because someone could, for some reason, already have an account and I don't need to reset them up, right? I just need to handle it a different way. So let's talk about how I manage that. So the next step is actually to find them by email. So I'm searching my WordPress membership website to see if this user email exists already. And if they don't exist, then we can carry on with the automation. If they do exist, then we stop the automation. It won't proceed past this section here, which is this filter. So this filter is basically the gatekeeper to decide whether or not the automation carries on. Obviously, I've got two other things here, which are formatters. I'll get to those in a second. The next step is really to create the user if they don't exist. So you have this create/update user section here, or this step, and that's the key part here where the action takes place. So once their details are passed on to this and they're created as a user, the next step is I want to send them an email. Just overlook this show members step here, which is basically the membership plugin that I have on my website. I want to add them to a level in that as well. So that's what this is doing. But the key thing here is once they've been set up as a user, you want to then have them get those details via email. In this case, I'm sending them confirmation to say, hey, you've now been registered as a user on the membership website. Here are your login details. Go ahead and log in by using this link and using this username and password, right? And then the last step is I'm adding them to Fluent CRM, which is the CRM I'm using to manage the users on this project. So go to the top and let's dive a bit deeper here. So we have Heartbeat. Obviously someone will sign up there, so they'll put in their name, email, and any other details they put in there. This captures all of that information, and then you can pass that through. If you know how these automations work, you can then link that information through out the rest of the steps here. So what I'm doing, if I click into this first step, is all I'm saying here, this is my WordPress connection to the particular website. Now I haven't got it connected here, but you would select the connection. So in this case, I am doing my membership website here, and it should now If I click through, it should now go to the configurations. So I essentially map this. You can map it through from Heartbeat to say, okay, you're looking for this email address. So if I take this out, for example, you can just say @ and we can put email, and this is how you grab the email address. During testing, I actually type the email in, but you would just map it from here. So I have my test email address here that I'm using, and I can go ahead and select email. If you notice, it says Heartbeat here. I'm selecting email, and this is how you map the address. Okay, so now it's going to search for this email address, and we're going to continue. I'm not going to go ahead and test it, but let's say it finds the user, then that means that person exists already. And you notice here we have a user ID, which in this case it says 310. This is a unique number for the user. I'm going to go ahead and save this step, and the next thing that I want to do is come over to the filter here, which I've added, and I'm saying, okay, check to see if there's a user ID. This is how they've got it done, right? So it might be a little confusing, so just follow what I've done here. We're saying if where it says operator is empty, referring to this field here, if that's empty, then we can carry on, right? So in this case, it's not empty, so it would not carry on, right? But if just suppose it's empty, then this filter would allow the steps beyond that filter to trigger or to continue. So I'm going to go ahead and say continue here. And you could see that during the test that I've run, it says result is false. That means that it wasn't empty. But if it's empty, it will say true, and then it will carry on. So let me save that. And I am going to show you these two number formatters here, and then I'll explain later what they actually do. So the first one is basically a time and date generator. So it's generating the current time and date at any given time. So when it runs, it will just produce that information. That's going to come in handy later on. We're going to use that in the account setup process. So I'm going to cancel that. I'm not going to go any further. Then the next formatter, this one is generating a random number between 100 and 300, and that gives me a quite a wide range where it can generate a unique number each time. And that's going to also help me when the account creation is being done. I'll show you how that comes in. So wait for that. I'm going to cancel that, and now we get to the WordPress creation, user account creation or update step. So this is where now it's going to create a user or update them if they exist, right? It's just called that, but we are interested in just creating the user, because remember the filter in the previous step would stop the automation from getting to here anyway if they exist already. We want to now add the details in. I'll just select the connection that I want to use. So I'm using my membership website here. As you can see, the address is there because I've already linked it. And now I can go to the configure step, or I'll just click continue rather. And here is where you need to set the information or enter the information where WordPress is gonna then use that to set up the account. WordPress needs a username, it needs an email address, and it needs a user role. Those are the key things that it actually needs as mandatory to set up an email, as to set up an account. There are some optional things that you can enter, which if you toggle down like I've just done, you'll see these optional fields, but these are the mandatory fields up here. Now for the username, what I've done is I'm mapping the information dynamically, and I'm using some static, well, one static character there as well to kind of do it. So I'm mapping the first name from the information from Heartbeat, obviously, and I'm putting a dot, and then I'm mapping a result in a previous step. Okay, so if I clear this off, I'll just show you quickly what that looks like. So you can see that there's a dot there, right? Now it's blank. So if I just want to use their name as the username, but that's not going to be unique enough, that's why I'm adding additional bits. I would just do first name, and as you can see, we've got first name here. This is when I did the test. Whatever name they've put in, that's what it's pulling in. Now if two people have the same first name, there will be a conflict, right? So we want to avoid that. So I'm going to put a dot, So I'm going to split that, and I'm going to add something that's more unique at the end of this. So this is where I am going to use one of the results from the formatters. So I'm going to say at to bring up dynamic information, and I'm going to select the random number here. And in this case, it produced 296. So essentially the username is going to be their first name dot 296. So that way you can have that unique username each time. And then for their email, you're just going to map the step that says email. So if you go here and you say at email, you could just select the email address, right? I'm going to select the correct one where it says email here. I've got it already, so I'm not going to map it. And then here I am going to select from any one of the user roles that I've got. In this case, I have them set as a VIP member. And this then helps me identify who's at what level. And then you can come down and add their first name. Again, you can map their last name. And then the key one here is I'm generating a password for them as well. So the password, I want it to be strong and it needs to be unique. So what I'm doing here, this is where the time and date comes in. So I'm, in my case, putting an X, right, as a static. You don't need it, but I put an X there just to mix things up a bit. And I'm doing a number, which is the current time and date. In this case, it's 12:25. Literally, that's what's going to be in the password. Then I'm putting a letter here, capitalized, which is a P. That's giving me some variation in terms of the strength of the password. And then I'm adding the 296 here again, the random number here again, and I put a $sign statically. So these will always be here, the X, the P, and the $sign. But these values will always change because they're dynamic. So that way everyone gets a unique password, because the time will be different and the number will be different, right? Where it says show password in response, you want to make sure that's on, and that's it. I'll just go ahead and continue. I don't need to test this further, but you can see this is what the password looks like in this case here. So that's, to me, a pretty strong password. And then for the user, where is the username? Let's just scroll back a bit. Here we are, username or user login. It says FSC dot. So that will be the first name. That's what I would have put in during the test. .296. So that is pulling in that number from the formatter. And that way no one will ever have the same, no two people will ever have the same username. Everything's been created successfully. I can go ahead and save that. And the next step for me is, I'm not going to necessarily show you that, but it's to add them to the leveling Sure members. That's not relevant to you necessarily, but it's straightforward to do that. And the email is the next step I want to show you here. So I'm using a regular SMTP connection that I've got. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the connection that I want to use. So this is just basically sending an email for me. And I am going to go continue. And then I'm saying, here is where the emails are going to come from. I'm literally putting the from email here that's connected with it. And then I can dynamically map their email address here. And then I'm putting in a subject. The subject is basically going to say login details. And I'm saying, okay, welcome, here's your login details. And the key thing here is that you want to map the details for inside the email from the password and the username, etc. So I'm saying hi, and I'm saying their first name, right? And here are your login details. And I'm saying user, I've put their email address because they can log in with their email address, and the password, I'm mapping the password field. Now, it's worth noting that although I showed you this using Heartbeat, you can use any trigger to start this automation off. So this could be from a contact form or from any other form that you have on your website or from somewhere else, or it could be from another app that integrates into OttoKit where you capture the details and then start the automation off. So this is fully customizable based on what you want to do. And of course, you can grab the automation, like I said, inside my online community for free. You just download it and import it into your own instance of OttoKit, and you'll see all the steps that I've got laid out for you there, where you can adjust it to match your connections and what you want to do. Obviously grab that whilst it's available. It's there for a limited time, and if you need additional help, you can post inside the community, or you can book one-on-one consulting with me. The links will be on my website or in the description. Now go ahead and check out one of my other videos that I'm going to link on screen for you to watch now. That's going to be super helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next one.